Welcome to Hispanic Business Success Stories. I'm Homero, Galicia. We interview business owners who built successful business to learn from them their story. We're very fortunate to have with us today a gentleman who's built a very significant business, a relatively young business, but nonetheless significant. Mr. Edgar Montiel of Palo Verde Homes. Mr. Montiel, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. It's an honor.
Appreciate your taking time. Let me ask you about Palo Verde Homes. What is Palo Verde Homes?
So Palo Verde Homes is a semi-custom production home builder that was established in 2007. We build in most major subdivisions in El Paso, Texas, in Horizon City, as well as in Sunland Park, New Mexico, and Santa Teresa. We're a company that believes in continuous improvement. We've been recognized nationally as a top 200 builder in America. Since 2010, we've been recognized by the EPA as an Energy Star leader in our industry. In 2015, we were selected as the El Paso Association of Builders Builder Member of the Year. And most recently in 2016, we were voted Builder of the Year by City Magazine.
Wow, congratulations.
Thank you.
So what is a semi-custom home builder?
So we are a production home builder. Last year we closed 202 homes, and we probably built close to 250 homes. And most of them are specs or track, but we do occasionally have customers that come in and ask for small changes, minor changes to floor plans and to designs of homes, and we work with them to do that. Most production builders shy away from it, but we embrace it.
So you're producing quite a few homes. That's, a home a day during the week.
Home a day, yes. There was a doctor friend of ours that, and he's a surgeon, which is pretty cool. But he was telling me, so how many did you do this year? I told him 202, and he said, Edgar, that's amazing. There's only 222 days, working days in the calendar. And he says, that's pretty great. And so, yeah, it's about a home a day, and we're very blessed to be as successful as we've been.
Well, you found success in home building pretty quick. Let me ask you. You're from El Paso.
Yes, sir.
What neighborhoods did you grow up in?
So I grew up in the Northeast, probably for my first 9 years of life, and then we moved to the East Side, and I ended up going to middle school at Eastwood Middle School and high school at Eastwood High School.
Okay. And then you went on to college here?
Yes, I went to UTEP, graduated from the university. I think it's a phenomenal university. Great education, great value. Received my mechanical engineering degree in 2001, and went back when I started this business. I'm sure we'll get into it a little bit, but went back in 2009 and to receive my MBA, my Master's in Business Administration.
Oh, so you're well trained. You have brothers and sisters?
So I have 3 older brothers. All went to UTEP as well. All grew up in the Northeast. All older than myself. I'm the youngest. 2 of us are 2 of us are mechanical engineers, and 2 are civil engineers.
Okay. I guess I know one of your brothers, Rudy.
Yeah, he's awesome.
Rudy Montiel, who used to run the housing authority here.
He did.
And then he went out to LA and ran the housing authority in LA.
He did that as well, yes.
And he's an engineer.
Yes, sir.
And your parents, what's your parents' background?
So when I was born, my mom and dad were divorced. They got a divorce shortly after I was born. So my mom has pretty much played both roles in my life, and pretty much in all our brothers and my brothers' lives as well. But they were both emigrated from Mexico, from Durango. My dad was the TV repairman. I believe he still is today. And my mom pretty much worked every odd job you can think, cleaning, beauty salons, cashier at El Paso Community College. So pretty much anything she needed to do, she did for us.
Wow. And so what was she like? What did you learn from your mom?
So I learned from my mom to be a very hard worker, to be kind, to be humble, and to always do the right thing.
Wow. And from your brothers, since they're older?
Gosh, they're my mentors. People ask me, do you have any mentors? And I do have professional mentors, but honestly, any concern, questions, I can go to them. Rudy, who is 17 years older than me, The brother below him is 10 years older than me, so they've got a lot of experience on me. Rudy, having been CEO, president of housing authorities, run multi-million-dollar projects for General Motors and Delphi before that. He's got a lot of experience. Carlos, the same thing, just a ton of experience with Ford, with Honeywell. He's now with Cooper Standard, and they've all done very well. They've all held very high management positions, so they've seen a lot of what I run into today. So it's awesome to have older brothers that are experienced and as smart as they are.
Wow. And then as they went on, you stayed back home. And you stayed with your mom. You took care of your mom.
I did. It was rather unfortunate, but she it was probably my junior year in high school that she got cancer, liposarcoma, which is a very aggressive cancer. And it was probably in between my freshman and sophomore year of college that she passed away. And so, my brothers were married. They moved out of the house, and so I had to grow up rather quickly. Cleaning the house, taking care of my mom, cooking food. So you had to grow up pretty quick. I had a little bit different junior and senior year than most kids, I'm sure. But all of that is what's made me what I am today.
Wow. You became a primary caregiver.
Pretty much, yeah. I was, and that's not to say that Rudy and Carlos didn't help. They helped tremendously, especially financially. They were really there for us. But yeah, it was a typical day was going to the hospital, or being at the hospital, I should say, when my mom gets checked in for chemotherapy, radiation, a surgery, a procedure, staying with her throughout the procedure, going to school, coming back, doing my homework, on the trays that are at hospitals, and sleeping on the couch, waking up the next morning, running home, getting ready, and going to school, and doing it all over again till she was out of the hospital, taking her home and taking care of her there. So yeah, it's a little different.
So how does a single working mom put 4 boys through college?
An absolute miracle. And you don't, let alone all engineers, let alone all relatively successful. And we have wonderful spouses, every single one of us. We just super blessed, to be honest with you.
You're married?
I am.
How many years now?
We just had our 10th anniversary.
Fantastic. Mm-hmm. Wow, that's great. How many children?
3 children, awesome children.
And their ages?
They range from 6 years old. My boy's my oldest, my pride and joy. My beautiful, smart daughter, Leticia, she's 4 years old. And then my youngest is 8 months old, and she, very well, because you visited our office, that she goes to work with us Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays.
That's great. She's learning the business.
She's learning the business, yes.
Yeah. And your wife is trained too.
So my wife, yes, she is a software engineer. She received her degree in computer science. She ran track in college, which I super admire, and she helps me with every facet of the business. When we both decided that I would quit my job, move to El Paso, we decided to have Jaden, my oldest. It was just a whole bunch going on. I quit my job, moved to El Paso, bought a house, sold a house, started a business that I didn't have a ton of experience in. And we both decided to do our MBAs at the same time. So if we didn't have enough going on, we decided to do that as well. She's brilliant. She helps me every single day with every single thing that I do.
Wow. So it's a partnership.
Absolutely. She's awesome.
Well. So out of college, what was your first job?
So out of college, I had a couple of job offers, actually. And I decided taking an offer from IBM. So I moved up to Rochester, Minnesota. Most people that are in the snow want to move south, and me, I had never really lived in snow, so I wanted to move north. So I moved up to Rochester, Minnesota, which is home of the Mayo Clinic, the original Mayo Clinic, and it was a great experience. The town was mostly comprised of engineers, doctors, and nurses, and that's pretty professional. So it was a great city, great work experience, and it was mostly in server production. So I was in manufacturing, processes, problems, quality, production. And that was my first job.
What did you do on the production line? What did you engineer?
So I was responsible for process development, like how do you put the machines together.
Okay.
You know, in the IT industry, at least at IBM, was different. It was very customized, and most corporations will not spend their IT dollars until the ends of quarters and stuff to expense equipment that they need. And so it was a challenge. The idea was how do you keep people busy during the very slow period, and then how are you prepared to where you're not behind the 8 ball when it does get fast? So that was always the balance. So defining vanilla boxes, like how do we figure out the least common denominator that we can build a bunch of these that we know we will use, and then we can just customize them at the end, kind of build ahead time. So that was part of my job.
Wow. And your wife, did she work there too?
She worked at IBM as well, and she was more on the customer support side. She received phone calls pretty much at all hours of the day from big corporations, big banks worldwide. When their IT folks internally could not resolve an issue with like an AS400, an iSeries, they would then call IBM for support, and then it would get routed to the proper person, and she was responsible for certain areas.
And that's where you met her?
I met her at IBM in left field on a softball team. So yes, we were both pretty bad, and we were both put in left field. So, but we started talking, and we've known each other for 16 years now.
So you're out in left field. That's
yeah.
And what is her name, by the way?
Carissa.
Okay. And so so how long did you work at IBM?
So I worked at IBM probably 5 to 6 years.
Okay.
Closer to 6. I worked in Rochester, Minnesota, probably for about 2 to 3 years, and then I transferred down. There's an opportunity to transfer down to Tucson, and that job allowed me to work in Guadalajara, Mexico, which was awesome. But I wanted to get closer to home, and so Chris and I packed our bags and moved down to Tucson and transferred with IBM. She kept doing her job, and because she could work remotely, and I started working there.
Okay. Okay. And then after IBM, what happened?
So after IBM, I decided that I wanted to be a home builder.
How did you decide that?
So couple of reasons. I've always been fond of putting things together, start to finish, seeing something go from the ground up, which is why most of my experience was even during college when I worked for General Motors and Delphi. Most of my experience was in manufacturing because I love putting things together. I love assembly lines. So I've always had this passion for putting things together. Secondly, I've always had a passion for architecture. And the third reason was because while I'm making these moves within IBM, there's this bubble, right? The big, great bubble burst. Homes are, doubling and tripling in value along the Southwest. And so I thought, it's a possible financial opportunity to do something. We purchased a home in Tucson, which was in a brand new neighborhood. So I will tell you, I probably got to see 50 to 100 homes get built right before my eyes, right outside my front door. And I just loved, there was just something about it that really enthused me.
So that's a big jump from manufacturing and engineering to building homes. But you wanted to get back to El Paso too?
I did, and so that was probably the fourth factor that played into everything. There was an opportunity to come back to El Paso and start building.
So how in the world did you start funding something like that?
My brothers both helped me with that, and our house increased in value. I was able to sell it myself, and so all of that money pulled together was what gave me the opportunity to go in.
So did you start the business and build homes, or did you build homes and then start the business?
I think I started the business first, and let me tell you why. I probably spent, when I said, this is something I think I want to do, I didn't jump in both feet, with both feet. I did a lot of research, a lot of homework. Anyone that knows me knows I almost overthink stuff, but I'm very cautious. That's how I've run the business. If you think about it, I started this business back in 2007. That was the heart of the recession. That's when it was starting to hit really bad, and it only got worse. And for us, it's only gotten better every single year. So it's almost like having started at that particular point in time is kind of what helped me stay cautious, helped me learn what to look for, and it also allowed me to enter the market, because while a lot of builders were exiting because they overbuilt, overextended themselves, I was just getting started, so I didn't have a lot of debt.
So that was almost. Had you planned that, or was that just happened to be that time?
No, that was just pure luck. I think having a successful business is a heck of a lot of work. I think more work than most people understand. But it's also, there's some luck in there. I'm just lucky that I started at the time I did. I started a year earlier. I might want to overextend. I might say, hey, everyone's selling a house before it's even on the ground. You overextend yourself, the bottom falls out, and you're in a bad position.
So you're very, very cognizant of that.
Yeah, it forced me to be, yes.
So when you built, did you build one home or several homes at the beginning?
No, I did a couple of homes, just a very few at the beginning, and I was on the job site every single day learning every single possible thing I could do. For the first 4.5 years of this business, of the existence of this business, I did everything. I swept the houses, I sold the houses, I cleaned the houses, I planned production, I hired the contractors, I paid the contractor, you name it, start to finish. I was the janitor and I was the president. I wore many hats. But I'll tell you, that is awesome, because it taught me pretty much every detail about the business. So now that I have teams of people doing stuff, it's harder for folks to pull the wool over your eyes, and it's also easier for you to give advice to your team and say, hey, I experienced this once, try doing it this way.
And you enjoyed that?
I do. It's the oddest thing. It's a love-hate relationship with it. There's a lot of benefits of having your own business. I think owning a successful business, especially when you're as leveraged as most people in construction tend to get, there's a lot of stress that gets put on to the owner of a business. People think, you're out golfing. I'll tell you right now, I'm the worst golfer you'll ever meet. But people think you're out golfing all the time, that you're taking breaks, that you take a ton of time off, and it's quite the opposite. You're just constantly on call 24/7, especially as you start to have teams of people doing stuff. You just get pretty much get bombarded with phone calls and questions, and rightfully so. I mean, the bigger you get, the more issues may arise. But I'll tell you that I've enjoyed every minute of it. I hate the always on call part of it, but as my team matures, I see me having a little bit more time back. And I, at the end of the day, we are as successful as we are today because of the team that we've put together. They're awesome, every single one of them.
So you start by building a couple of homes.
Sure.
And they sell?
No, they don't sell. We start, so my brother was able to, Rudy, and Carlos, they were able to find some lots out in Horizon City, behind Horizon High School in a subdivision called Horizon Desert Breeze. I'll tell you this, we purchased 19 lots, which nowadays, is nothing compared to the lots that we carry and stuff, and the inventory that we carry. But we purchased 19 lots because that was the only place you could buy them, because when they found out about them, that's when things were really white hot. But then the bottom falls out, and so buyers are being much more picky about where they're going to live and what they're going to do, so that they're not going to live where we were planning on building. And so we bought 19 lots, and I'll sum it up with this. It took me about 6 years to sell 19 houses in that subdivision. So it was very slow to move. Carlos was able to find investors and folks to help buy the houses. So again, there's some more help that they extended, and we were. The rest is kind of history. The first homes we sold were mostly to investors, to be honest with you. So we didn't make any money, but they sold, right? And I gained experience with it. So it was tough going at the beginning.
So how'd you get out of that? Well, you went to other subdivisions then.
Yeah, that was the thing. I said. So as builders were exiting the market, there was more lot availability, obviously. So developers were more open, local developers were more open, I think, to talk to a builder that's new like myself. And at the end of the day, they just want to sell their lot just like I want to sell a house. So I saw the opportunity to start talking to developers, building relationships with them. And I'll tell you a real funny story, but I remember walking into a lot selection for a community that wasn't super desirable, but it's a great community, by the way, over on the Far East side. And I remember there was only one other home builder there, and that home builder's probably been around for 40 years, and myself. And this is the first time I'm ever at a lot selection. And I walk in, and in the back of my mind, I'm like, I'm leveraged as much as I possibly can be with these 19 lots over here on Mars, I'll call it. But then I've got, now I'm coming into this meeting, and there's this, big time builder in front of me, across the table from me. And the guy's leaning back in his seat, and he's like, I'll take 30 to 50 lots, right? And just kind of waves his hand over the plat, and this shows all the lot locations. And I went in thinking I'm only going to buy one lot, right? Because I don't have money to buy more. But I need to get out of where I'm at, is what I kept thinking. If I stay there, I'm going to die there. So I said, I got to start getting into some more communities and building relationships with the developers. So I walked in, and I was like sweating, and I remember sweating, and I'm like, I'm going to buy one lot, right? I'm going to tell him, and this guy's waving his hand saying 30 to 50 lots at a time. And so I went from one lot to 2 lots. That was my big jump, right? So I upped the ante to 2 lots. But I think that's a funny story because, just to think of where we started and where we've come from,
Wow. So tell me, how did you develop then the knowledge of that industry?
So, a lot of people always ask me, they're 2 different things. They're really not. As an engineer, you're trained to think a certain way, to calculate things a certain way, because they're training you to be safe and to be creative, right? And use your knowledge, think about the physics that goes into a house, think about the loads that go into a house. It's no different. And then with my manufacturing background and loving putting things together, I could be baking cookies. And I feel that if I could come up with the recipe, and by recipe I mean the processes to bake the right cookie that people actually want to buy, then you'll be successful. And I was trained with manufacturing. I was trained with process development. So, I'll be honest with you, if I started in a new industry today, yeah, there'd be fear at the beginning. But now I have the confidence of, hey, I made this work. I can pretty much make anything work. There's a lot of similarities, putting a house together, putting a car together, which I worked on, putting a server together, putting a wire harness together. It's all about processes, it's all about people, and it's all about learning what you're doing and why you're doing it.
Is running a business a process?
Running a business is constantly a learning experience. I'll put it that way. And yes, there's multiple processes, and as the bigger you get, the more people you hire, the more processes have to get put in place. So absolutely, the answer is yes. But I don't, I always tell people, I could be building houses 100 years, and I'll never learn everything there is to learn about managing people, running a business, or building a house. Because there's just so many intricacies. There's so many, think about a house. We probably have 200 hands, 200 people's hands, so 400 total hands, touching a house, any given house from start to finish. 400 hands, so I have to rely on 200 people to do the right thing, to nail it the exact right spot, to plug the wire the exact same perfect way. And that's kind of impossible, because once you throw the human element into any production line, you start to get errors. And my thing is, if you remember at the beginning, I said we are a business that's about continuous improvement. That's one thing that was instilled in me, is quality and continuous improvement at every job that I had. Again, General Motors, Delphi, IBM. And so, the continuous improvement, the reason I bring that up is we're always learning and we're always evolving. So something that we did yesterday may not be the right, most effective, best way to do it, but we're going to learn how to do it better constantly, and we're going to implement those processes and procedures. So I think it's just one gigantic living process, if you will. organic process.
So do you have a recipe for building homes?
I think we have our recipe. Doesn't mean that everyone's got the same recipe. We have different ingredients. We have different people doing different things. But we have our recipe, yes. And I think no matter what kind of business you're in, my opinion is I try to always simplify it down to the simplest process you can possibly get to.
So you go from building 2 homes, getting 2 more lots, and then what do you do?
So every year we've probably experienced 20 to 40% growth. At the early years, because the numbers are so small, yeah, we doubled 100% growth, 200% growth, but we just keep growing. And before you know it, the thing is when I built, and we closed 4 homes our first year. I think only 1 was to an actual customer, not an investor, maybe 2. But and I told you I was involved with sales. Maybe that had something to do with it. But we just keep growing, and that first year, I will tell you, I never dreamed of building 200 homes. But I think our reputation, I think the level of customer service that we provide, the knowledge our sales team brings to the table, the training our sales team brings to the table, have just made this like a living, breathing machine that even if I wanted to slow it down, it'd be harder to slow it down than to just keep riding the wave.
So you've actually developed some momentum.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's been a momentum. I would venture to say that 25 to 40% of our sales are customer referrals, and people like us. And the thing about us is I don't care if you pay $100 million for your house, things with that many people, that many hands, that many brains going into the production of a house, you're bound to have an issue occasionally. And the thing about us is we'll take care of it. We will jump on it, and we will take care of our customers as long as it's a warrantable item and something that we did incorrectly. And I think that's what people love. People are like, hey, this guy's not just selling me a house and walking away from the closing table and I'll never see him again. No, it's become more of kind of a family with all of our customers. And I keep saying that we wouldn't be where we are without our team. We also wouldn't be where we are without our customers. They're awesome.
Wow. Well, that's awesome to start with 2 homes and now to be producing over 240 a year. That's awesome growth in a short span of time.
Right.
In 10 years of time.
Correct.
Well, I appreciate you sharing your story, Mr. Montiel. You were raised by a single mother, and you have 3 older brothers, and all of you guys are engineers.
Correct.
And I know one of your older brothers, Rudy, who ran the housing authority here, but he was working at Delphi.
Correct.
I guess when you were in college, did you do some internships?
I did probably about 3 years total worth of internships. I was part of a co-op program. So I got to work at the twin plants in Juarez with Delphi. I also was able to work at General Motors in Flint, Michigan, also in Janesville, Wisconsin, and Silao, Guanajuato. So I had a lot of great experiences.
So you finished college with an engineering degree. Did you finish in 4 years?
No, I didn't. Not when you work for 3 of those 4 years, like most El Pasoans. But no, it took me about 5.5 years to finish college, but I had awesome experience and my mechanical engineering degree at the end of the day.
Wow. Why mechanical?
I don't know, maybe to follow my big brother, Carlos. He was the brother that I was closest to in age, and probably that was the reason. There was I liked putting things together. He knew that and kind of guided me in that direction.
And your other brothers were different kinds of engineers?
They were civil engineers. Okay. Civil engineers. We always we give Rudy a lot of grief because we tell him it's easy to design things that aren't moving. As a mechanical engineer, you design things that are moving. So we joke with him about that. But yeah, we did 2 mechanical engineers and 2 civil engineers.
So you get into building homes after working for IBM for 5-6 years?
Correct.
And you come back to El Paso and start on a couple of spec homes. You call those spec homes?
Spec homes, yes.
And because you like construction. How in the world do you fund a construction business, a home construction business?
So I will tell you it was difficult. I interviewed with a bunch of banks, local banks, and think about it. You know, again, it's the crisis, the recession, homes are not selling, and here comes this guy with little experience, good background, good knowledge, but little experience at the beginning, and is asking for money to build houses, spec homes, no less, on Mars, I'll call it again. But so it was difficult at first, but perseverance. You know, don't take no for an answer, and just keep asking and keep looking for people that'll lend you money. So a bank reluctantly, with horrible terms, lent us some money, and the rest is history. Now I've got amazing banking relationships with some amazing local institutions that really take care of us.
And how many homes are you building a year now?
So last year we probably built 250 homes.
Wow.
Yeah, and this year our goal is to close 240, which will probably get us in the 270 to 80 range.
Wow. So you have banks knocking on your door.
We do. We have a lot of opportunities with local and national banks. We tend to be loyal to the folks that have taken care of us throughout the years, both on the banking side and also on the supplier contractor side.
Let me ask you, why did you name your business Palo Verde?
So, you know, I decided to start the business while I was living in Tucson, Arizona, and one of my favorite trees is the Palo Verde tree. You don't see a whole bunch of them in El Paso, but you drive to Phoenix, to Arizona, excuse me, drive to Phoenix and to Tucson and most of Arizona, and you see a bunch of these. Are beautiful green trees that get little yellow flowers. I've always been very fond of the desert, and I decided, I'm going to name it Palo Verde. The Palo Verde trees live for over 100 years. They don't get a whole bunch of water, and they're just constantly vibrant green and beautiful. There's also the fact that we, you know, as a result of my liking of the desert in the Southwest, I decided to name every single one of our floor plans after a desert plant.
Oh, okay.
So if you actually go on our website or look at our floor plans, you'll see that everyone's got a different plant name: mesquite, agave, aloe, you know, all the desert plants. There are builders that have caught on and are also naming their plans after desert plants, and that's great. You know, that's competition is healthy.
You're not afraid of competition?
I'm not. I'll tell you that it's made us continuing to grow at the pace that we've grown. It's made it more difficult. I will tell you, we came in, and this is definitely not being humble, and it's taken me several years to admit it, but we came in and we changed the market in El Paso. Remember I told you I did a lot of homework before starting the business. One of the things I did is I probably walked 50, 60 homes. And it didn't take very long to figure out that builders were all copying the same floor plans, same colors, same carpet, same tile, same cabinet color, same backsplash. Or they weren't even doing backsplashes, but you name it, the houses all looked the same, just the sign in the front was different. And I came in, I said, gosh, this is actually pretty cool, because I can come in and do something different, carve out my own little niche, offer more value, less square footage, but more features, and I think we can make this work. And so that's what we did. I came in and we started with which we don't use too much anymore, but we started with a Southwest territorial style, which is very Tucson, very Phoenix-like. And we kind of morphed that into a Spanish mission style of home, which is kind of what we've stuck with, and people love them. People just love them because they don't look like all the other houses. I'll tell you, I know it works because there are so many builders doing exactly what we're doing today now. There are legacy builders, 30 to 50-year-old builders, that introduced new product lines to compete directly with us because they said, hey, these guys are taking some of our market share. These guys are growing. Why aren't you guys selling houses? Why are these guys selling houses? And so, again, back to my thing, competition is healthy, but it has made it a little bit harder to grow. And so the thing about me is I'm always looking at continuous improvement. I will not rest on my laurels, and I'm going to look for the next better, bigger thing that will continue to keep us ahead of the pack.
So what do you do that's different from other builders?
So we offer, we're not a square footage low-cost builder, and there is a huge niche for that, especially in an economy where salaries are not, super high. There's a definite need. We are a more expensive production home builder, but you get more features. You get more for your money, but the square footage, you sacrifice a little square footage, but you get more things. And I've noticed that people like it. I will definitely liken us to the BMW of the industry. People go and buy a BMW because it's a nameplate. It's become a status symbol type it's had a status symbol type of effect on folks. People want to own a Palo Verde, just like they want to own a BMW. So people come to us. They come to us for quality. They come to us for the customer service. They come because they can make some changes to their house. And so we're very, very proud of that. But those are things that make us unique.
So who's your ideal customer?
Any customer that qualifies.
Good.
No, we have a variety of customers. We're a equal housing builder, and so we love all of our customers, and they all range in background, they all range in culture, they all range in industry. In socioeconomic, conditions and in income levels, you name it.
So they're first-time buyers just as well as...
Yeah, we just finished a home very close to $1 million up on the mountain, completely custom home. But we also sell $140,000 spec homes, and we fill every niche. That was the other thing we did from the very beginning is I've done a custom home, anywhere from 1 to 4 custom homes a year every year. This year we're starting to kind of think twice about it because the production has gotten so big that we almost don't, unfortunately, have time to work the way we'd like to work with potential custom home customers.
So when you come back to El Paso to start the business, as you were sharing, both you and your wife get into an MBA program at UTEP. She's a computer engineer.
Correct.
And she helps you in the business.
Yes, absolutely.
All the details.
Yeah, she helps. Yes, all the details. She helps with a lot of stuff. There's so much going on every single day that she's got her responsibilities and I have mine, and she's just a dream to work with. She's super intelligent and just really a smart person.
At the same time, you're raising 3 kids.
Now, yes. We didn't have any when we first moved back, but she was pregnant and expecting. So yeah, it was interesting coming back.
So how did you learn to build a business?
I'm still learning how to build a business, if that makes sense. If we stay at 200 homes, 200 closings a year, and we just plateau, and that's all we do, which is not what we want to do. But if that were to happen, I think when you start to plateau, you start to say, okay, let me make my processes the most robust I possibly can. But when you're continuously growing from 2 homes to 6 homes, or 4 homes to 6 homes, to 12 homes to 22 to 42 to 96 to 114, when you start to grow and you just have never had a chance to stop and smell the roses like a lot of people tell me, we're just constantly growing. I think we're still evolving. I think we're better today than we were yesterday, and I think tomorrow will be better than we were today. So, I think you're just constantly growing. I can't tell you, oh, I'm already there, or I think we're close. I think if we continue to grow, I'm still going to have to evolve with the growth.
Well, you've got some awards for being the outstanding home builder.
Correct.
I guess one of your first awards was Outstanding Home Builder in El Paso or something?
So I'll go back through the awards if that's okay. But for the last 3 years, we've been recognized as one of America's top 200 builders. Now, to put that into perspective, in El Paso County alone, with the city of El Paso, there are about 60 builders that pull at least 1 permit a year. Obviously, there's production builders. Most of us production builders make up 85% of that. But if you think about it, 60 builders in El Paso alone. El Paso is what, the 19th largest city in the country? El Paso alone, 60 builders have pulled at least one permit. In the nation, you can imagine, think about the other 18 cities ahead of us, bigger cities, Atlanta. That number's got to be grossly exaggerated above that one, right? So to be nominated, selected as one of America's top 200 builders is quite an honor. And that's simply based off of revenue and volume, closings. And we keep moving up the ladder. So that's a huge accomplishment and an honor. We've also been, we were the El Paso Association of Builders Builder Member of the Year in 2015. A huge honor. Great association led by Ray Adauto, just super great honor. And then last year, our peers, the city of El Paso, nominated and then voted us Builder of the Year through the City Magazine, which is a very popular, contest at the end of every year. You like, which is the best school, which is the best high school, cheerleading group, restaurant. Well, we were Home Builder of the Year, and that's something that the city voted on, not us. So that's quite an honor as well.
That's fantastic. So getting an MBA, does that help you run a business?
It does. I mentioned to you, UTEP offers is just a great value. Tuition is so low. They're very flexible with hours. We did ours in the evenings, so I'd work 15-hour days and then I'd go, but a lot of people do that in El Paso, and then I'd go at night and take classes, right? Did it in 18 months, but it definitely helps, especially when your background is engineering and you really don't know how to read a financial statement, you don't know how to enter anything into books, bookkeeping and all that. Definitely helps from that perspective. It helps you network. There's a lot of people we're still friends with, great people. But I would say it helped me in my situation with an engineering background. A person that maybe has a college degree in business or finance may not need the MBA as much, but that's everyone's prerogative. Some people do it because they set the goal that, hey, my mom went to college and got a degree, but I want to one up or better that and get my MBA. There's a different reason for all of us, but for me, I definitely think it helped me.
So as you have evolved, let me ask, what is your personal business core competence?
So what do I do the best, or
yeah,
in the business?
Yeah.
I think I am able to persuade folks to do things a certain way or to have a common goal. I'm able to rally everyone up and say, this is our goal, this is where we're headed, and I'm able to hold people accountable and keep them on track.
So you set the vision.
Correct.
And you delegate.
I do that a lot more. And I'm a little hesitant to answer that because, again, you got to think about it. 4.5 years having done it. And now it's way different today, and a year from now it'll be way different. But 4.5 years of you doing, first of all, of your debt increasing for 4.5 years, because you're getting bigger, right? Your debt increases, and so there's more fear of failure. And 4.5 years of you doing it your way. You don't answer to anybody. You define the processes. You do it exactly how you want to do it. You deal one-on-one with the customers. There's no middleman. 4.5 years of that. So you start to hire people, and those folks. And I like to hire. I'll be honest with you. I like to hire people that maybe haven't been in the industry. I love it because you get to kind of train them your way versus them already coming in with a preconceived notion of how to do things. However, I think you do need experience as well. So I've got a nice little mix because you want people's opinions to actually mean something, to have some meat behind them. But going back to 4.5 years, finally hired somebody. And I hired a second person, a third person. But you got to remember there's a huge learning curve. They don't know what they're doing. I just hired them. I decided to go green. And so you have to start training people. And there's a lot of bumps in the road. People make mistakes mostly because you don't tell them exactly, maybe I didn't set the right expectations, maybe I didn't give the proper training. So you're kind of struggling with that. So fast forward, you keep hiring people. You fast forward, 5 more years, 6 more years. So you've got a nice core of people that know what the heck they're doing. They're still getting better every day, and I always tell them, don't ever think that you're perfect, because that's when you start to fail. But they're getting better. You have now this mix of the veterans, I'll call them, with a combination of new people, new thoughts, new ideas. And every single day they amaze me. They just continue to get better and better at what they do, and it makes it easier and easier to delegate.
Wow.
So at the beginning, it was difficult to delegate. It's your baby. You've done it all. You raised it, and now you're giving it to somebody to do. That's tough. It's tough.
How big a staff do you have now?
So we are 15 people total, including myself and my wife, on the construction side. And if you think about it, that's pretty darn efficient. So that's another thing that having worked in manufacturing has instilled in me and trained me to do, is be very lean and very efficient. Don't overhire staff. I compare our staff size and closing numbers to other companies' staff size and closing numbers, and we're super lean. I'll tell you that, which is nice, because should a downturn happen again, that you're a little safer that route. And as far as hiring, the bigger we get, we probably have to add some more people.
You're also involved somehow on the sales side of your homes?
So I'm part owner of Harris Real Estate Group, but Lane Harris, who is the broker and runs that business and started it, he just does a phenomenal job. He is very good at what he did. Him and I teamed up probably 4 years ago. And I couldn't have asked for a better partner on the sales side. I definitely will tell you that. He's very smart, very intelligent. He was recently, probably a week ago, recognized as the #1 realtor by NAREP, which I think is the National Association of Hispanic Real Estate Professionals. #1 in El Paso. And then he's going to go on to some national list of los meros, they call them the cream of the crop. And he'll be ranked in that, and we're waiting for those numbers. But he's really good at what he does, and I trust him. I mean, we're friends, and I trust him. It's the funniest thing, because he gets me, I get him, and we just help each other a ton. We feed off of each other.
You read each other's minds.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So what are your challenges in growing your business now?
Competition. That's probably our #1 challenge. There are people that are absolutely blatantly copying our floor plans, which are good floor plans. You get feedback from customers. We survey every single customer at the closing table. That's their chance to tell us, hey, you guys are a 1-star because you did this, or you're a 5-star because you did this. Again, with continuous improvement, you have to get feedback. If you don't get feedback, what are you improving on, right? Okay. So I survey every single customer at the closing table, and they love our floor plans. So now you see builders copying our floor plans, builders copying our colors, builders copying our sales pitches, builders copying our features, you name it, our signage, and which is great. Again, competition's healthy, but it gets more difficult. When you're not the unique guy that you were 6 years ago, it gets more difficult. So now you're fighting with more people for the same number of buyers.
Wow. So how do you keep that edge?
Every single day, constantly training our sales team up, making our product better, our features better, coming up with new floor plans. That's what we constantly are doing.
So what is your biggest joy in your business now?
Probably the next challenge is my biggest joy, is what are we going to do next? What's the next goal, and how are we going to get there? It's also nice to see your team just growing up before your eyes. I mean, coming in so raw, and they're awesome. Every single team member that we have is just phenomenal. And teaching them, there are bumps along the road, and there are some times you have to be tough on them, but they're just amazing. And that's pretty neat to see them grow up in front of your eyes and take over and ownership of what they're doing and loving what they do and wanting to be at work. I'll tell you, you ask a lot of contractors, you ask a lot of suppliers, and they say Palo Verde Homes is the place to work. We have a very, I think laid back's the wrong word, but I can't think of another one, but we have a very easygoing office setting. Wear t-shirts, jeans to work, not a big deal. Just be professional with our customers and do your job. We all joke around. Again, it's like a family, honestly, in our office, and even in the field. We're a family, and I instill that: be a team, be a team. But people want to work with us. People want to work for us, and they're happy. You can tell they're happy because they will go above and beyond what they need to do. You know, you need them to do something, you need them to stay late. There is not a hesitation. Done, no problem. I'm asking people to leave the office. To put it differently, I have to ask people to leave the office because it's 6, 7 o'clock and they're still there working away, but they're happy.
You're still there.
Yes, I'm still there. And let me tell you something, that's probably something bad of me because I'm setting the wrong example for them. And but I try to be flexible with our staff, and I hope they recognize that. But I try to be very flexible with them, and I think they do, just because, like I tell you, they'll take a bullet for you.
Wow. So how many subcontractors are you supporting?
So that's a good question. I would say we probably have 50 to 60 contractors that we hire or subcontract work out to. They're all required to, we have rules that they have to abide by. Required to have general liability insurance, those type of things. We keep them on the up and up. We try to, at least. They're responsible for their own work. But each one of them, I would venture to say, and this is on the very low end, they might have 8 people working for them, and that's probably on the low end. They're probably closer to 10 people. So when you stop to think about it, and most of them, I'd say 60% of them has been with us since the very first house. The other 40% we've weeded out because they don't share the same values as we do. And we're very fair to them. But I will tell you that most of them have 10 people maybe. So you're talking 500 to 600 people that are directly affected by our business, by our customers. And that's what I keep feeding to them is we're nothing without our customers. We're nothing without my team. We're nothing without the contractors. We're nothing without the sales team. Really, at the end of the day, all the congratulations and everything has to go to them.
But you have a vision that you share with all of that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We always have to do the right thing and constantly get better at what we're doing. No one will ever perfect what they're doing. I'm a true believer in that. You've just got to constantly wake up and work on getting better.
Well, let me ask you, at the beginning you were telling me that before you came to start the home construction, you were in Tucson.
Mm-hmm.
And you were working for IBM.
Correct.
And when you bought your home, there were homes being built around you.
Correct.
Around your home. And you watched that. You walked into those homes.
Oh, yeah. At night, I'd walk around the neighborhood.
So what did you learn?
Learned how to put together a house, to be honest with you. It's the same. And the thing that stood out right away is it's the same 100 steps. It's the same 70 steps. You start here and you end there and give the person the keys. I bought a brand new house. I saw the walk through, the home orientation. I saw what I liked. I saw what I didn't like about it. Friends that own homes, family that own homes. One of the things that stands out the most to me is Rudy had to call his builder in California. He bought a resale home. Called the builder that built the house because they have really strong winds. One of the roof tiles fell off. He called the builder. The builder came and fixed it the next day. And I will never forget how ecstatic Rudy was that they fixed it. And a light bulb went off in my head, and I said, that's what you do. That's how you treat people. Because guess what? Rudy's probably going to tell 100 people about that experience. You would hope he did. He told me, told his friends. So that stood out to me, and I said, that's another niche that we could fill is actually going back and taking care of your customers.
And you do that.
We do that. I mean, you look at our reviews. We are we're rated very highly on Google. We take reviews very seriously because, again, we question, we survey every buyer at closing, and that's their opportunity to tell you, hey, I didn't like that you did this, I didn't like that you did this. Guess what? You go back to your team and say, hey guys, what can we do better here? You also have to pick and choose your battles. Smaller staff, very lean. You have one problem out of 800, that's not a big concern. You probably shouldn't put too much energy in that. You have 50 problems out of 800 and they're the same thing, you got to fix that, you got to address that.
So how do you keep your head straight with all of the detail of building 250, 270 homes this year?
Great team, great staff, amazing wife, just great support everywhere, to be honest with you. I don't know how, I'll be honest with you, I don't know how I do it sometimes. I don't know I question, like, man, did I just, there are very few times I do it throughout the year, but I'll stop and I'll look back. I say, how did we get from there to here? But I'll tell you this right now, I could not do it without my amazing wife and our fabulous staff and our fabulous sales team. I could not do it without them.
So what secret message do you have for entrepreneurs out there?
For people wanting to open a business or venture out on their own, be safe, be smart when you do it. Don't jump in both feet, because a lot of people get bitten, especially if you're not too sure about the industry or what you're going to be doing. Something I mentioned to you before was that, when you are planning how much you're going to make, when you're coming up with your own numbers, because everyone has to come up with numbers. I would hope everybody would come up with numbers, but I'm going to make this much profit and it's going to cost me this much. Let me tell you this. Cut your profit in half and double what you think it's going to cost. That'll be a more true picture, in my opinion, of what's going to happen.
Well, we know there's much more to come from Palo Verde Homes, and we're very fortunate to have had this opportunity to meet and talk about Palo Verde Homes with Mr. Edgar Montiel, president and owner. And we thank you for watching, and we trust you've enjoyed this wonderful story. Have a good day, and keep tuned to Hispanic Business Success Stories. Thank you.